Hi, PerspectiveWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Thursday, December 10th. Yesterday was quite an unstable day in the Mid-Atlantic region, the Northeast U.S. Lots of snow shower activity, especially in those areas north of the Pennsylvania-Maryland border. There were some small accumulations across the northern suburbs of Philadelphia, east central Pennsylvania, even a couple inches in northeastern Pennsylvania, places like Scranton, Pennsylvania ended up with a couple inches of snow on Wednesday, all associated with a disturbance that passed by to the north. High pressure takes control over the next couple of days throughout much of the eastern U.S. Noticeably milder too, especially by later tomorrow afternoon and into the upcoming weekend. There will be a strong cold frontal system that will press from the west to the east. Latter part of the weekend, it will probably have some shower activity in the Mid-Atlantic region, the Northeast U.S. Saturday night, Sunday time frame. Not a heavy rain event. It doesn't appear that way right now. And then colder air moves in during the early part of next week, and there's plenty of potential for storminess by the middle part of next week. And we'll kind of focus in on that potential threat for the eastern seaboard by, let's say, the middle part of next week over the next couple of minutes here. Let's start off by looking at some teleconnection indices. We've shown these quite a bit over the past couple of weeks, and the Arctic Oscillation and the North Atlantic Oscillation are kind of closely related cousins in that they both give us some information about what's going on up in the high latitudes, the Arctic region, the places like Greenland, Iceland, northeastern part of Canada. When both of these indices are in negative territory, that tends to lead to more cold weather and more storminess in the central and eastern part of the U.S. And when they are both negative at the same time for a sustained period of time, chances increase this time of the year for some snowfall in at least portions of the central and eastern U.S. They both are now in negative territory and look like they'll remain in negative territory for the next several days. And we'll actually point out what this means in terms of the upper air pattern blocking that could set up in the high latitudes next week. And again, that leads to the potential for some interesting weather by the middle part of next week. The black on this particular plot represents the current right here and the observed in the past several weeks here, and the red, the forecasted. In this particular case for the Arctic Oscillation, this is the neutral line right here, and it is now in negative territory and forecasted to remain in negative territory for the most part over the next couple of weeks. Again, this is the Arctic Oscillation. And here's a plot of the North Atlantic Oscillation. Again, both of these are determined or calculated by using the pressure pattern in the North Atlantic, the Arctic region, and the temperature pattern as well. And again, this is the neutral line, North Atlantic Oscillation, now in negative territory and forecasted in red here to remain in negative territory for the next couple of weeks. So these two signals certainly are more favorable for some cold, perhaps stormy weather in the central and eastern U.S. over the next couple of weeks. Certainly looks like it'll be kind of an exciting weather pattern leading into the Christmas holiday season. Well, let's take a look at the 500 millibar height anomalies for the northern hemisphere. But just looking at two time periods, right now, Thursday morning, and then we'll take a look to the middle part of next week, how it changes. This is from last night's ensemble run of the GFS. Again, we'll take a look at the way it looks right now as seen right here. Compare that to about a week from now, next Wednesday morning here. Watch for these changes here. First of all, this is Greenland right up here. Of course, the U.S. down here with a lot of higher heights than normal across the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes region. Again, this kind of translates to the east over the next couple of days, a milder trend here in the Mid-Atlantic region, the Northeast U.S. as the ridging builds in. Notice also some orange here, which represents high pressure ridging, higher heights than normal up across Greenland. Take a look at what happens 1 week from now. And here we go. This is the change by the middle of next week, and this is why this suggests perhaps some interesting weather by the middle part of next week. A couple things I want to point out here. Again, this is the forecast map at the 500 millibar level for the height anomalies for next Wednesday morning here. Lots of orange showing up over the North Pole region, which is right in here in Greenland. This is really what we're talking about here when we talk about negative AO and down in here negative NAO. This is a kind of a pattern we're talking about here. When both of these are negative, you have this high latitude blocking extending from the polar region, in this case North Pole, across Greenland into the northeastern part of Canada. When this happens, when you have high latitude blocking like this, it tends to force cold air masses from the high latitudes to the middle latitudes. In this case, force some cold air down into the U.S. and Canada as well. Notice also we have a blue showing up here. This is a pretty impressive upper level feature by the middle part of next week. So the combination of this high latitude blocking with a deep trough in the upper part of the atmosphere by the middle part of next week really presents the possibility, the opportunity for storminess along the eastern seaboard, somewhere along the eastern seaboard by, let's say, the middle part of next week. Still way too early to get the details. Still could end up being a rain event in the I-95 corridor region, but the potential is there with this blocking pattern in the upper part of the atmosphere. A strong wave here. One of the things we'll have to watch for, you want to see, if you're a snow lover, you want to see a ridge popping up along the west coast of the U.S. and Canada to go in combination with a negative AO and negative NAO. Instead, we have pretty much what we call a zonal flow, west to east flow here from the northern Pacific into the western part of Canada and the U.S. That actually is kind of a negative if you're a snow lover, because it tends to push some milder air off the Pacific into the western part of North America. That will be kind of a battle zone with the negative AO and negative NAO. We'll just have to see how this plays out, but overall the bottom line here is there's a lot of potential for the middle part of next week, it looks like, in the central and eastern U.S., a potential storm near the eastern seaboard, and we'll have to certainly closely monitor all of this over the next several days. Well, let's walk through the operational run of the GFS from 6Z last night in terms of the surface forecast map, and we'll go all the way into the middle part of next week. Again, a quieter day here in the Mid-Atlantic region. A little bit of snow activity this morning in the northeast U.S., but for the most part, high pressure takes control not only for today, but for tomorrow as well, Thursday and Friday, much of the eastern half of the nation. It also promotes a warming trend. Will certainly be milder today, really reaching seasonally cold levels this afternoon in places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. I think the normal high right now is about 47 degrees in Philadelphia at the official weather station of Philadelphia, at the airport PHL. 47 degrees should be the high for this afternoon, so seasonably cold. It'll feel considerably milder than yesterday with a little wind and plenty of sunshine this afternoon. As that high pushes off the coast, it gets even milder, and we're talking about the 60s, the 50s in the D.C., New York City corridor, maybe even 60 degrees in places like D.C., but certainly well up in the 50s, above normal for both weekend days, Saturday and Sunday in the eastern part of the nation. Here's the next cold frontal system as it appears on the forecast map by Saturday morning. It slides from west to east and crosses the Mid-Atlantic by the end of the weekend. Not a heavy rain event, maybe some showers later Saturday night into the day on Sunday. So there'll be lots of clouds around this weekend in the I-95 corridor region. Maybe some shower activity, not a heavy rain event. That cold front passes on through by the end of the weekend. And then we turn our attention to one low pressure area that also has to be watched. We were looking ahead to the middle of next week, but there will be a system the early part of next week that is a close call for the Mid-Atlantic region. It looks like it'll slide off just to the south and east of the Mid-Atlantic region, maybe off the Carolina coast, certainly close enough right here that it has to be observed over the next few days. But that's one threat for the early part of next week. This forecast map for Monday night. Now, notice also high pressure building into southeastern Canada. That is anchoring a cold air mass. That is kind of typical of what you get when you have the negative AO, negative NAO with high latitude blocking development. A cold air source to your north here could play a key role not only in this early week event but for the potential midweek event. Here we are. Look at that strong high pressure. Correlated with that negative AO, the negative NAO. High latitude blocking usually results in surface high pressure to the north of the Mid-Atlantic region, to the north of the northeast U.S. That's where you want it if you like snow in the those parts of the nation here. Cold air anchored by strong high pressure come Tuesday morning. Notice by this time another wave of low pressure crossing the middle part of the nation. This then sets off the development of a storm near the eastern seaboard by the middle part of next week. Other models agree with this general idea too of a storm perhaps impacting the Mid-Atlantic region, the northeast U.S. by the middle part of next week. Again, this suggests rain in the I-95 corridor region, snow to the higher elevations, inland Mid-Atlantic region, interior northeast U.S. Still way too early to get to the details, but the potential is certainly there. It evolves on this particular run of the GFS into quite a storm, maybe a significant snowstorm for parts of the interior Mid-Atlantic, northeast U.S., maybe a significant rain event closer to the coast. Still way too early for the details. The main thing I want to point out is that this pattern has lots of potential. There'll be one storm system we'll have to monitor the early part of next week, and then perhaps an even better chance of something strong near the eastern seaboard by the middle part of next week. Again, watch for that high latitude blocking to set up too, as the Arctic oscillation and negative North Atlantic oscillation stay in negative territory for the next couple of weeks. So an exciting pattern from here on out to the Christmas holiday season. That's it for now. For PerspectiveWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.